So the January 6th Select Committee has completed its first round of hearings, and I must say they exceeded my expectations. I guess maybe the only thing that has shocked me was how often the people in the Trump West Wing use the F word.
Get a great effing criminal defense lawyer, you're going to need it.
They're literally calling for the vice president to be effing hung. And Mark had responded something to the effect of, "This is effing crazy."
I motioned up at the TV and I said, "Do you think it looks like we're effing winning?"
I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away.
They're not here to hurt me. I wonder who the Trump supporters with bear spray, knives, spears, brass knuckles, pistols, and AR-15s were there to hurt.
Take the effing mags away. Then they can march to the Capitol.
Oh, that's right. They were going to hurt the people in the Capitol. They were about to march to the Capitol when Trump told them,
"If you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore."
Now, you may remember in the second impeachment trial, the House managers brought this up.
President Trump used the word fight or fighting 20 times, including telling the crowd they needed to fight like hell to save our democracy.
Former President Trump's legal team turned the tables, laying out their arguments against impeachment.
Consider the language that the House impeachment article alleges to constitute incitement. If you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. This is ordinary political rhetoric that is virtually indistinguishable from the language that has been used by people across the political spectrum for hundreds of years.
And he had the examples.
Because my constituents send me here each and every day to fight.
We have been fighting this fight.
We've got to keep fighting and keep focused.
We will fight back. We're not going to just take this lying down.
Fight. This is going to be a fight.
Our fight. We are in this fight for our lives.
Well, it's language that they've used, that Republicans have used. Big deal. Shows nothing.
Gee, when Elizabeth Warren says, "We're going to fight like hell to make sure the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau remains an independent agency," how many in her crowd are wearing body armor and carrying AR-15s? You think maybe the hearings have established that Trump wanted the mob to assault the Capitol? And they did. And that once Trump saw that they were attacking the police, that he wanted the rioters to keep going.
Your advice was tell people to leave the Capitol, and it took over 2 hours. Did you continue, Mr. Cipollone, throughout the period of time up until 4/17, continue, you and others, to push for a stronger statement?
Yes.
Were you joined in that effort by Ivanka Trump?
Yes.
By Eric Hershey?
Yes.
By Mark Meadows?
Yes.
As Trump watched the violence on TV, members of his vice president's security team were freaking out.
If they're screaming and saying things like say goodbye to the family, like the floor needs to know this is going to a whole nother level soon.
Trump waited for 3 hours and 17 minutes until it was clear that the coup was not going to succeed to finally tell the mob to go home and, of course, that he loved them. 140 Capitol Police were injured that day. They suffered traumatic brain injury, broken vertebrae, strokes, were knocked unconscious, eyes gouged out, lost fingers. Capitol Officer Brian Sicknick died the next day of a heart attack. 4 Capitol Police who fought that day later committed suicide.
There's no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. No question about it. We have a criminal justice system in this country. We have civil litigation. And former presidents are not immune from being accountable by either one.
Is there any question that we have to prosecute this guy? You know how in Jerry Maguire, Renee Zellweger says to Tom Cruise, "You had me at hello"? Well, Trump had me at...
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes.
This is on tape. And then Trump threatens Raffensperger.
It's more illegal for you than it is for them because you know what they did and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense. And you can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer. That's a big risk.
How is that not a crime? That's a mob boss. Same as telling Zelensky, "Nice little country you got there, Volodymyr. Be a shame if you had to change the name of your country from Ukraine back to the Ukraine. If you don't do me a favor and announce an investigation of Biden and his no good son Hunter." You know what else was, if not criminal, disgusting?
We had at least 18,000, that's on tape. We had them counted very painstakingly. 18,000 voters having to do with Ruby Freeman. She's a vote scammer, a professional vote scammer and hustler.
Do you know how it feels to have the President of the United States to target you? The President of the United States is supposed to represent every American, not to target one.
The President of the United States didn't represent every American. He represented one American and one American only, himself. And that's why every single person that day, January 6th, every single person in the White House was appalled that he didn't stop the violence. Donald Trump cared about no one in the world other than Donald Trump. Trump knew he lost the election. Everyone on his team told him he lost. Everyone who wasn't a complete lowlife.
At some point, did one of them make a comment that they didn't have evidence, but they had a lot of theories?
That was Mr. Giuliani.
Trump knew he had lost, so he summoned the mob to Washington. He knew they were armed. He knew Pence was going to certify. So he sent them down to the Capitol, and at the critical moment, sent them a tweet saying, "Mike Pence doesn't have the courage to do what should have been done."
I worked on the campaign, traveled all around the country, going to countless rallies with him, and I've seen the impact that his words have on his supporters. They truly latch on to every word and every tweet that he says, and so I think that in that moment, for him to tweet out the message about Mike Pence, it was him pouring gasoline on the fire and making it much worse.
You know who else had traveled all around the country and seen the impact that his words have on Trump supporters? Donald Trump. He knew better than anyone else what that tweet would do. Trump tried to weaponize the violence that day to complete the job of destroying the political order. This is the single worst crime against our nation, and he came shockingly close to pulling it off. The Department of Justice has to prosecute this sicko, and when he is convicted, send him to prison. The hearings will continue in September, and safe to say, it'll just get worse. Maybe we'll get the Secret Service texts, the one where Trump ordered them to take Pence to Andrews Air Force Base and fly him to Yemen. I'm Franken. Have a nice August break.